To understand the importance and design of the Neumann U87, you have to trace its history and the company's legacy as a pioneer of condenser microphone technology, beginning as far back as the 1920s. George Neumann founded the Neumann Company in 1928, although not the inventor of the condenser microphone. That was Edward Christopher Wendt in 1916. He did, however, provide the first commercially available condenser named the CMV3, or the bottle, due to its distinctive shape. The bottle was a big success, as the condenser microphone was a huge step up in sound quality from what was previously available. Compared to the Rice microphone, which Neumann himself was previously credited for inventing whilst working for the Rice Company, the frequency response was not only much more linear, it was also extended to 15 kHz, which was astonishing, in an era when most 78 RPM records topped out around 3 kHz. Another big benefit was the noise floor. They were much more sensitive than the carbon and ribbon microphones, and therefore had a much better signal-to-noise ratio. The only drawback was that they required a fairly hefty power supply. Following a brief relocation to the town of Geffel during the war, setting up the Geffel Company, Neumann returned to Berlin to develop the design further, releasing the U87 in 1949. This was using the M7 capsule developed earlier for the CMV3. His microphone was one of the first condenser microphones to gain widespread acceptance in the recording industry worldwide. In the 1940s, crooners such as Bing Crosby and later Elvis Presley used RCA ribbon microphones, which produced a smooth, rolled-off tone. This resulted in a warm, intimate sound that was well suited for the ballads and love songs popular at the time. In the 1950s, however, pop records shifted to a sharper, clearer and more present sound, thanks to the use of condenser microphones with elevated upper mid-range response. The U47 was distributed worldwide under the Telefunken brand name. This microphone was used by artists such as Frank Sinatra and later the Beatles to capture a more dynamic and upfront sound that was well suited for the energetic and upbeat nature of pop music. The U47 was also used for orchestral recordings in stereo. This highlights the versatility of this microphone and its ability to capture a wide range of musical genres and styles. From the 60s, a new capsule was born to replace the M7, the K47. It was made of mylar, which was much more durable than the diaphragm of the M7, which was PVC plastic and subject to a relatively fast deterioration. At the end of the 1950s, the discontinuation of the Telefunken VF14 vacuum tube used in the U47 and U48 models put pressure on Neumann to develop a successor. The rise of rock and roll music and the recording of loud vocals at close range created a need for a microphone that could handle these new techniques without sounding harsh. The U47 and U48 were criticised for producing an unpleasant sound when used in this way, which now seems ironic considering these very same microphones sell for huge amounts due to their smooth vintage sound. The U67 was designed to have less emphasis in its upper mid-range response, resulting in a less forward tone colour. It featured a new capsule, the K67, which used a two-piece backplate that allows the diaphragm to be tuned separately and matched for consistent front and rear response. This technology allowed for greater precision in capturing sound and improved the overall quality of recordings. By 1965, Neumann started to develop solid-state microphones and make their first departure away from all tube designs, and this would lead to the development of the U87 in 1967. It was designed as a solid-state version of the U67 tube microphone. It retained the K67 style capsule of the U67, but replaced the tube amplifier circuit with a FET transformer design. FET stood for Field Effect Transistor, and this circuitry could be powered by phantom power rather than requiring a separate power supply for each mic. This 48-volt standard was invented by George Neumann and still used to this day. The U87 is a tripolar FET condenser with a transformer coupled output. A switch below the head basket allows selection of cardioid, omni and figure-of-8 patterns. The K67 and K87 capsules are said to be mechanically and acoustically identical, although the original K87 was designed to be powered by a 60-volt supply, so being powered at 48 volts reduces its sensitivity and noise floor slightly. The revised U87 AI employed a DC-DC converter to produce a 60-volt supply for the capsule, thus increasing its sensitivity and increasing its signal-to-noise ratio by 3 decibels. The body of the original U87 housed an optional pair of 22.5-volt batteries. This space was later repurposed to store the DC-DC converter when the U87 AI was developed in 1986. Curiously though, some of the very early U87s actually lacked this battery compartment. There are over 20 variants of the U87 circuit created by Neumann. These changes have prompted debate over which sounds better, but the truth is, they all have a very strong signature sound that with just a little bit of EQ, any U87 of any era could be used as a stereo pair for critical recording. The U87 has gone on to feature on more hit records than perhaps any other microphone in history. It has to be said that the U87 is likely every engineer's second favourite mic. That doesn't sound like the best compliment on the surface, but considering the vast array of choices out there, is a huge compliment and a testament to its sheer versatility. It can be great on vocals, acoustic guitars, electric guitars, pianos, drums, even whole orchestras. Pretty much any application you can think of, it can deliver great results.